What is up? Workbringer here, and today we're going to be checking out my very first +10 Plaguefall. This place is, I've learned to love it by wiping on it so many times, and this is like my 5th +10 attempt, whatnot. I always finish it, but timing it requires a certain finesse that the group needs to have, or it doesn't happen. It's despite it being all slimy and blech looking, it's just a lot of finesse and techniques are needed from really every class to pull it off. And yours truly provides the route. This is a smooth route, in my opinion. It's a 1% route, just like my Necrotic Wake route is as well. You can, if you pull anything extra, it dies and ends, but the group should be able to do that. So this is a pug, and unlike most pugs, it had a Discord, which I will always welcome, because as the route keeper, timekeeper, I get to emphasize to the group what my plan is, what my route is, and then they can improvise as needed, as I'll try to commentate what my route is, and where we take some creative liberties for the sake of time, right? Where the original route may not be optimal for time. So we're proceeding through here. I used to require a rogue to do this, but I have since learned that you do not need a rogue to quote-unquote do this skip. However, I do feel it needs to be addressed how to do the skip every time. Primary interrupt target is the Pestilence Harvester. Those are the big scary casts. And I put in X, and my macro says stun X. And we're on voice comms, and I call it out. Typically for these packs, I'm like, I have first interrupt, and then I'll have first stun with Hodge, right? Doomshroom can also be interrupted, but it's not that big a deal. You just kind of walk away from it, and we're already playing like the kite dance game because we have the Spiteful Shades, which in this one, because of the comp, I just tell everyone, just repeatedly, just kill them all. Kill all the shades. We're not doing anything cute here. If you watched my The Other Side 10, you'll see that I pretty brazenly just like, as soon as shades are there, I leave. And that's because it's almost always safe to just leave them behind. Here, again, tight corridors, easy to body pull. I don't want people to be afraid that they're going to die to a shade and then body pull. That was a mistake I made on one of my runs. And I reiterate that to people. I was like, let's just take our time killing the shades. And generally the strategy is, let's just kite them back to where we came from. Don't tread any new territory here, please. I'm marking the safe spot to go, right? It's actually a little bit off to the right, a little bit, so I go to the left. You can walk right between those two packs. And if you do this route, you will get pride on the very first boss. Right, we're going to kill all these, but not at once, because we have a lot of, a lot of shades about to pop out of here all at once. There's the first one. And I'm reiterating over voice comms, do not kite to the sides and pull the ads, and don't kite too far back. But in general, we pull things and we kite them back to where we've been, because we know that that's safe, right? We have a good amount of buffer to actually go backwards here without pulling the rest of the group. That skip that we did. I'm considering pulling this entire thing at once. I think I essentially do. Gets a little bit out of hand here. And I just reiterate, I was like, I am losing aggro, so let's not pull any more, lest you die. Or at least let me get threat back. And at this point, the green pool has gone away behind us. And that means we can keep kiting backwards and not kiting on the sides, right? Someone gets spooked. The group is not killing the shades. They feel like they're going to die to the shades. No one's helping. They might pull these Plague Belchers next to me. I don't want Plague Belchers. It's not over, right? I kind of leave that one alone, but we got it. The run's not, it's not wiping, but I don't want it. I don't want those at all. So we're just going to clean these up. Let's keep it going here. Pace is fine. Deal with the shades, and everyone's just getting used to everyone else's abilities, right? There's always a bit of a warm up, I find, in pugs, and with a group that like I know it's mostly the healer. I'm like, can you pop a defensive for me in the beginning? I'm gonna take this whole thing. It's like cool. I know for a fact our balanced druid has mass entangle. Cool. I know the fact that our ice fire mage has some way to lock down like 50 spites. It's like yeah, okay, and we know this. We talk about it. We go for it. But here we want to kind of warm it up. We kill it. We see what the CC looks like and just get the pace going. The healer can get a sense for how much damage I'm taking. I can get a sense for how much the healer is keeping us up. So it's a bit of that warm up. And pugs, unfortunately, always have that compared to, a consistent group. It's like, let's just shred it. Because like I know what you did yesterday, so let's do it today faster. Like that's not how pugs work. However, what we do have on our side is voice comms. We are in Discord, and I'm very much leading it as tank. I mean, just am. I explained the entire route, and because I explained the route so thoroughly, and relate to them that I've not timed this like 5 times in a row, but I was like the route's very clean though. I was like the route is not necessarily a fault. I explained the hard parts and I explained the interesting parts, the 1% part of this, which you'll see at the very end. This is a 1% route where we have a buffer of 1% at the end. It honestly is ideal. Super ideal. So we're talking about it here, right? We don't have a hunter. We don't have a mage. But I basically tell them in all the groups I've done of this, you lust this, we 1-phase this boss. If not 0-phase it, right? So don't worry too much about the CC, just let's go ham. I have all of my offensives going here, even pop the trinket, which is a tiny bit of DPS, and I spiked into 4.5k single target. Okay? 4.6. This is why you bring the prop, pal. It's part of it. I also can live through almost everything if I feel like burning the cooldowns, which I'm very planned and controlled with the cooldowns because they allow for me to live for like a very long time. I can have like 30 seconds of essentially immunity of living. Pretty good. And as expected, first boss is a feel-good moment. Still have pride, lust, and everyone's big offensive cooldowns were all saved. Let's pop them up. Now we need to chill. I relay to them that there is a big brain strat to pull the Plague Rock, the Patrol, and them all at once and blow them out the canister. And I tell them, I was like, I hate that plan. It's so hard to do. It's never worked for me. I don't know who can do it. Maybe a VDH can jump away, but I am going to die to it. And it's either the healer or the DH. I think the DH is the one that has a lot of the strats. Maybe he plays Vengeance as well. It knows the dungeon to that level. Most DPS kind of have no idea what's happening right now. They kind of generally know what like their part is in some of the pulls, but they don't have the full picture, right? And they don't have to, right? That's not their job. But someone also confirms that like, yeah, that's kind of terrible. Like it's not a fun strategy to pull off, like to execute, right? Like so basically if you blow them up on that canister, which can also kill you, it puts a huge debuff on them and like you kill them in like half the time. However, it's very risky, and without like some like very consistent chain stuns, like where they don't move at all, it's pretty hard to keep them in there. I think they're trying to move on. I just tell them we need this belt, we need the spine breaker, and this is also a good warm up. You can't skip it and make it out somewhere else. However, I think it's very good to remind people how this one works. You pull it immediately a frontal, immediately followed by ground targeted attack. We're going to deal with these all over the place. And I tell them the place that I always wipe, right, is the pull after this next couple packs where we have one of these and it spawns pride. We need to go over this mechanic again. Remember, walk over those. And I tell them they take a bit of damage. So, like, the thick boy should do it, right? It should probably be me. It should probably be the warrior. It should definitely not be the druid. Probably not the shaman, unless you have some sort of like, pop a CD and walk over them, but most people are not gonna. I'm just tanky enough, and it's a good warm-up. This is all a warm-up. We have a plague binder, right? This is a warm-up for the pull that's gonna be happening after this that spawns pride. So we take the warm-up. This is remember how these work. We're gonna do these all at once directly into a pride pull. So I want this. I want people like, oh yeah, the ground target. Oh yeah, the frontal. Oh yeah, the plague binder. You need to interrupt it, right? So we're about to do those all together. And I'm pretty sure the dungeons are designed this way. I've been noticing this as I meticulously spend hours in Mythic Dungeon Tools, which rip Mythic Dungeon Tools, but I never updated because I saw it on Twitter. So I have the old version that still works, but I've spent like hours at least at this point designing these routes. And I've learned so much about like level design, to be honest. Like the ads are all designed to teach you about or remind you like what's going to happen. And so once you already know all of them, once you know the mechanics by heart, which I'm going to get there. Once you know them by heart, you know the patrol timings. Like that patrol timing is very precise. I've had that happen many times. I know I can sneak that one back here. Stand in green. GG's. Can kill the congealed. That pot's about to go off. And I think I might leave the plague binder in it, but I can't tell. I don't think I got him with it. Maybe we did. I'm not sure. But it's once you know all the mechanics, then you can basically take a bunch of groups, but everybody knows. It's like you don't get flustered. It's like, yep, there's the plague binder. I mark it, make sure the interrupts are happening. Here's the frontal. Kite the plague belchers. The plague borers are going to blow up. Like you just have to have that memorized so that if you pull like 8 of them, it's not scary, right? Versus like, you know, if you're still learning it, I'm still learning it too, especially at +10, where the mechanics really show themselves. You might get flustered. So what we do here is I tell them that this pull sucks, and the DH traps the plague binder. That's very helpful. That frontal almost kills the party, but I tell them here, please do not body pull anything. I'm a little bit dying here. Do I pop big guardians? I do. I got guardians up. I might have immuned already. It looks like I've immuned through a bunch of this. I know that this is the place we die. I do not underestimate this, right? Like in immunity into the biggest cooldown I have. If we live this clean, we can then proceed into a nice clean pride. Now remember the metamorphosis. Ooh, who gets it? Someone gets it? Lovely. Lovely. And the group does it, though I will say that I emphasize quite heavily, this is the issue, is here. This is where we get pride. It's a very good pride timing. It's not too bad, but you need to remember the metamorphoses come out. Don't pull anything else getting them. And this Plague Binder CC is the move. Now, you can very easily pull that Belcher back there, or whatever that big boy is. That's bad. That's end running, actually. If I had pulled that by accident, like if I shielded it, like a shield, and it bounced and hit him, it's GG's to the route. The route becomes way more variable, and we're going to get pride in what I consider an unsafe time. So, because I explained my concerns and my problems, the group provided the solutions. So this is where voice comms is so helpful, because it can be done in the moment. If we were typing it, people would be so sad. But while we're running there, he's like, do you want me to trap this? I'm like, yes. And we did it, right? No time lost. It was while we were on the way there. That's where voice comms comes in handy versus having to stop and type it. So I spent a long time in the front, just chatting, like, hey, how's everybody doing today? Oh, the world kind of sucks. Yeah, we're kind of depressed, right? That's kind of a common way of looking at it. But anyway, I explained my problem areas in the route, and they provide the solution. And so that is ideal, and it's why we time this, even with a bit of a hiccup, even with the comms, right? Even with everything, we still have a hiccup. But because I've explained the parts where we're going to have problems, solutions present themselves. Many groups will pull the extra tentacle on the back. Very glad to see we didn't. This is a sketchy part. I need to kind of get aggro on everybody, bring them back up here. We have already blown up the pots up here somehow. I don't know. But my nameplates kind of cover the timer, but you get this like circle. That's pretty obvious, right? Hand of Freedom. Oh my God, I almost died. That's ideal. We want to blow those guys up on him. That's the whole point of this dungeon, really, is like these things slow you and they do big damage and they do a debuff. And so you can use them on each other. It's kind of like Spires of Ascension. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's kind of like Necrotic Wake. You can use the cleavers to throw the cleavers at the ads. Here it's a slow, and you can blow them up on each other. However, I hate being slowed, and Blessing of Freedom, Hand of Freedom, whatever, is a, what's it called? 30-second cooldown. So this group has a different concept of this room than I have, which is fine, but you'll see it rears its head in a somewhat bad timing here. However, I'm able to adjust my strategy to just go with the route. And again, on voice comms, you're not going to, I don't anyway, and I never do really on chat either, but you don't really flame each other as hard as you would in chat. Like, people say pretty mean things to each other in chat, and you probably shouldn't. But it's different if you like say it out loud to someone than like you type it. Like, you're an idiot typed is like, it's like, okay, I kind of get what you're saying, like it's a bad move. You died to AoE. It's still not nice and not going to help the morale. I don't say that stuff. But it's completely different if you yelled it to them in a voice chat. It's like, okay, now you're like actually yelling at me. So it's just different. Anyway, I tell them now, because this may not be clear, I was like, please don't touch these. Don't touch. No touchy. No touchy. So we need to range pull them all the way back here, and now we can kill them as slow as we need to. Take your time, right? Clean the spites up. If you only half get them there, not good. It's not good. You'll pull the boss. And I think this is the group, I've done this so many times, this 10, but I think this is the group where like someone almost pulls the boss on me, but then they don't. Because everyone understands that you can basically run around the edge of the dungeon without pulling the boss, but it's a little sketch. Okay, so I want to kill this shade because that's just the MO of the dungeon, right? A lot of melees. Kill the shade. Let's be consistent. Kill the shade. Because what happens is if we don't kill the shades, people panic. People do something weird. People do something they don't want to do. Someone pre-pulled this for me while the dude was there. It is technically a time saver. Technically. However, this frontal, oh boy. Yeah. So this is what happens when not the tank pulls the mobs. Now my positioning, I'm not exactly sure where it's safe to put this. Whereas where I normally pull this, no one will ever get hit by the frontal unless they're literally sitting on top of me, which they shouldn't. And this is Pride, and it's been pulled in a way that I didn't expect or want. We are safe from pulling. We have to step on the metamorphoses, as I've stated before, and I'm kind of yelling that now a little bit. And it's stable. We're in a safe place to do it, but this isn't where I wanted to do it. Why would you pull this? So, you may have saved a little bit of time, but you may not know that the positioning that I have planned is the ideal positioning. Perhaps. Or at least it's what I'm comfortable with. I've designed the placement of this to be in a place where we are not going to die to the Pride. Right? So I would really wish that they didn't do that. However, that's the only pre-pull, ninja pull. It was done for time. Not liking. Don't like it. Anyway, we're lusting into this boss. I'm telling them over comms if people. I'm not sure if I don't think most of the group has completed a 10. Looking at their raider IOs, so I'm just reiterating to them. I was like, you cannot one phase this boss. It is not possible. Until we get to like 220, 230 geared, you're not one phasing a plus 10. So I was like, just prepare. Like this boss doesn't melt like the first one. Right? Kill the bomb, no matter what. Kill the bomb, then kill the congealed. I tanked the big boy. I did let off a strain go. I did let that go off. That ooze never is an issue, but maybe it just dies so fast. Anyway, I'm trying to stabilize, right? And so here comes what should be the last phase. You just tell them I was like, we're doing a couple of these, right? Even with Lust, even with everything, right? So some people may look at this and like, kill the boss. That is not the move. Kill the bomb. Kill the bomb. As a trap. Kill the bomb. I take the congealed. I'm calling out the jumps, right? Just like, I think that's helpful. Even though they probably see it, I'm like, it's on. Like he's jumping on you. Move. Like get off the ad. If you get hit, you're pretty dead. So now it's like we need to kill the congealed, even though they're at 13%. It's gonna take forever if we don't kill the congealed. It's just how that mechanic works. It just damps damage. Now we've done it, right? That is very typical, having done this an awful lot, with good DPS, with Lust, like a real Lust, and Pride. That's very common. That timing, I don't really have issues on that boss. This next boss, though, and this next trash, though, is finesse. It's finesse. So I tell them for this one, there's little min-maxes of everything, right? If someone gets embraced, not everyone knows this, you can stun the tentacle, it'll put them down. It does a lot of damage in a 10, and I imagine at a 14, that tentacle picking you up needs to be immediately stunned or it just kills you, I'd imagine. I don't think you can pop defensives. However, if you're grasped and you have a stun, I believe you can stun while you're up there. So, DH getting out. I drop that slime off in the back, and apparently, I forget who said it, maybe it was the shaman, they dispelled it or something. Okay, there's another ninja pull. I think they dispelled it, and so it doesn't drop green on the ground. I was like, oh, never seen that before, but I typically pull that green slime away from the tentacle because it leaves a green in the pool, and look how many melee we have. Like, positioning is very important here. Kill the shade. Right? Let's not freak people out. Kill the shade. We're on a little island together. Let's not mess this up here, right? No freakouts, no body pulls. I know this from Spiteful as people panic. Okay. So, killing this tentacle, nothing to say. I don't have a stun, so if someone gets picked up, hopefully someone else does, but it just dies as well. We're moving along. Oh, I get stunned. I get picked up, okay. Again, trying to be consistent. Kill it. Kill it. I don't know who it's targeting, but say it was the healer, or just the leather wearer. Like, let's just let's clean it up for everybody. I think that's. I did a run of this, and some of the people were saying they felt like they weren't getting taken care of. So I was like, okay, I feel you, and that results in panic. I'm like, you take care of yourself. It really is your job. Like, I have one Hodge, and I'll DPS, but anyway. This needs to be precisely done. This can be done wrong. I don't want those adds to the right, and I don't want that tentacle on the blue. Run to the green. This is how I do all careful walks. So far, this dungeon has 2 very careful walks. Walks that are end running, essentially, if you do them wrong. And when you do them wrong is when you wipe and you're running back and you're like, oh, I got to make up time. Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe I messed up, or we messed up, or like someone messed up. You're angry, you're not thinking. You pull, and then you wipe it even further. Well, that is the name of this place. Again, consistency. Kill this. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. I just focus it. Obviously, don't combust or something, but just do it. So, the DH ahead of the curve over here tells me that he could get this thing at a stealth, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how you did that, but that's cool. And so what I tell them is that let's just kill this, but do not kill the patrols or the adds to the right and left of me. Like, if you pull those, this turns really bad. We almost kill it before stealthings. However, stealthings go out. I regret to inform them that this is probably pulling the pack next to them, which it does. But then I'm like, actually, it's pretty good. So I think in the future, I'm actually going to pull that ambusher into this ambushing pack. Perhaps. Because it's better to have this be a bit of a toughie than to body pull the sides as the tank and the route creator of a 1% route, which basically means an error of 1% ruins it. My Halls of Atonement route's the same, Necrotic the same, and they're perfection and beautiful. It's safer just to pull them into here, and maybe I just go into it with a big cooldown, something like that. So, I do relay to them that the next pull is another wipe spot. This is where I've wiped, and it's common. So we full Blair into it. I think what happens is they go for a CC. Right? We're going to go for that same CC. Worked out great. So we're taking on this defender. However, I'm looking at this venomous sniper, and I'm like, is he going to aggro? Like, what's going on? He starts shooting, and I'm like, oh dear. And then he calls Venom Fang, and I'm like, double oh dear. And so we're trying to carefully kill these while we're looking at count, right? And it's like, right, we're going to tick over into Pride now, pretty much, next mob or the next mob. And I'm like, is there any way to displace this sniper away from that thing? Someone breaks it, it pops out, and someone immediately starts attacking it. And I'm on voice calls. I'm like, can you re-CC it? And they said yes, but someone put a dot on it. So now we have this split cleave bad situation. They're really far from each other, People are dying to the little spiderlings, and it's a disaster. This is a disaster with a pretty coordinated group. They're telling me where the stealthlings went. And so, moral of the story is just kill those all together. That's not a group that CCs very well, in my opinion. And I'm looking at this situation, and I'm talking to the healer. I'm like, someone has to be the adult here, and it's me. And I'm like, you just call it. It's a wipe. You just call it. What should have been done is immediately when that spread cleave happened, 2 are dead. Healers is like, this is a clean wipe. It's called wipe fast. Stop hitting things. You'll see that I have not used Divine Shield. I haven't used Guardians. So I was half an adult there. I should have called it like I saw it and said clean wipe, because guess what happens? Pride at the worst time. Something died. We ticked over to 80, and Pride picks a random group member to spawn on, and it spawned on one of us. Me? I don't know. So the group's split up right now, and we're killing Pride, and we're talking about it, and I'm explaining. I'm like, yes, this happens. We should have clean wiped. When someone died, the priority was to get Prideful in a clean place. This is kind of acceptable for timing. If you've seen my other plus 10s at my gear level 207, I don't die to Prides. It's going to be multiple things and a Pride. Then I might have too much damage. But like, even if the healer was here and it was just me and this DH, I was like, we're going to kill this. It's going to be hard, but like, I'll heal you and I'll heal me. Notice all my cooldowns. Every single one of them is now up. I have every single cooldown and my trinket, right, for defensives. And I'm still not going to blow it because we're going to need it, because we're not going to have Pride on this next boss. So, what have we learned? That group there, if we had just face rolled into them, we would have killed them fine. And what happened is the spider got separated from the sniper. The spider is free casting stealthlings. I'm not paying attention to where stealthlings are going. No one is. I'm not calling to go kill the stealthlings. The stealthlings one-shot someone. We kind of aren't killing the things again. Stealthlings go out. I'm not killing the stealthlings in time. Stealthlings kill another person. Wipe. Clean wipe. There's just no recovering it. And on top of it, what's even worse is that Pride was supposed to be here. So it's the worst time to have that happen. So I tell them, I was like, hey, we got Pride. Let's like uber destroy these ads. And now I've told them beforehand versus like having it be a surprise. I was like, normally after we kill Spider Boss, we come back, we turn around before we go down, and we kill these side ads. However, Big Brain Demon Hunter, I believe, correctly suggests, hey, you know, we already have Pride. How about we just kill the ads now instead of going down? Instant judgment is yes. Instant judgment. That's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel like it saves time, right? And it might. Who knows? Anyway, so I tell them we need to kill this pack and that pack over there. He tells me that the tentacle gives no count, which I wasn't aware of. However, in Mythic Dungeon Tools, this pack gives me the exact count. I need to go downstairs, so I just say it must be the Defender of Many Eyes, and you have to kill the tentacle anyway. So anyway, I think they're wondering if this route's going to really work out, because the thought to go downstairs is big picture, like 87, 88, 89, right, to be safe. If you're not a very meticulous planner, route planner like I am. However, I'll cut it down to the 1%. I have a feeling Necrotic is actually below 1%. Like it's like a 0.5% ticks it over to make it safe. Anyway, I think they're somewhat questioning it now. However, they just go with it because I'm the tank. What are you going to do? Like, are you going to like, you can't basically, like, even if like you think like, hey, we should go pick out like one pack just to be safe. If I don't pick it up, you're not picking it up. So you're sink or swim with me right now. We have beforehand communicated the difficulties and the mechanics of this fight is that you need to stay stacked even during this phase. That's the hard part. One person can run out, but they need to come right back. And I tell them this, like, you know, I was like, I'm not trying to like put it on you because I will help you. But I was like, if you guys do this fight right, I don't ever move as a tank. I stay here, mitigate properly. I still have all my defensives, right? I used an immunity, which I call out, which is voice comms is very helpful for that. Basically, in dicey situations, high movement, high stress. I tell the healer, I am now immune. You don't have to worry about me for 8 seconds. And then don't have to worry about me. They can go worry about everyone else. And I'll call that out. I've also called out that I'm in Guardians now. I was like, I will not die. I was like, do not worry about the tank. I have saved my 2 immunities for that. We did Lust it. Went down pretty quick. Imagine Lust plus Pride. That was what was supposed to happen. If we didn't do that like wonky spider pull, we would have had Lust and Pride. That boss would have died in 30 seconds. Now, what I normally do is clear the room below and then this slime. However, I believe the DH who suggested we kill the trash before I go down, because we're a little short on time, this run back is a little sketch, asks if we want to kill it first. I agree. I'm like, let's kill it first. I just reiterate that this is a 1% run. So the last, essentially the more like one of the last 1 to maybe 3, I think it's 2 to be honest, of the devoted Plaguebound people down there, right? These are just runaway spites, but I'll break the rule for that one because they're so far away. I'll tell them, it's like, when you kill the last 1 or 2, Pride's coming out, so just consider your positioning, right? But that's because we're on voice comms, right? We're on voice comms, much talking, much regrets about how this place goes wrong, what can be done. We're having a discussion about, can you slow the the big boy that comes to kill me? You can. You cannot stun it, but you can slow it so the slows are out. I think that's maybe the Ellie Shaman has a slow for that. And I'm just reiterating, I was like, just remember that Pride's coming at the end of this. So like we kind of need to do this in a safe place. And just remember. Whereas in a pure pug, I use my trinket for aggro. In a pure pug with no voice comms, all I have is a macro that spams Pride this pack, please kill evenly. That's what happens when I control 5. And I'll spam it like 10 times. Just to like, because not everyone sees it, right? But I'll just uber spam it. And if people are annoyed by that, they must not like timing keys, because it's very important to understand that as DPS to not just like tunnel down one of them, right? So I'm generally trying to kite this stuff back towards the entrance so we don't pull the boss, right? So this is more or less that final pack. And I don't remember exactly what I'm saying. I don't want to like overly repeat myself. I actually suggest that we don't kill Ecor because I'm just worried about when Pride's going to spawn. I don't want Pride to spawn basically where people are standing right now. And we kind of and so everyone's back here, but you know what I mean? Imagine if Pride was like in the back. I'd have to kite it back. We'd be kiting through spites. The boss does take a little while to spawn, but that's what I'm worried about, is where's this Pride going to come? Where's the boss? And what's even more funny right now is that there's one Plaguebound devoted walking towards us. He is the last part that's going to tick over. We're actually gaming this. I lay on hands the healer. They actually are I think this is a partial guild. They actually sniped each other on purpose. We killed that last devoted, and that spawns her. So that's pretty OP. So in a voice comms group, that was optimal. Look at her freaking out. What? We're all laughing about it. But don't laugh too hard. I tell them. So again, on a voice comms group, you can make those decisions on the quick, right? So we have Lust and Pride. It's a waste. You actually Lust the second phase, but whatever. Let's just keep it going. Those little optimizations can be made on the fly. However, if you're typing them, it's not very good. We want to just keep it moving. So in groups that want to just quote unquote keep it moving, we just run down here and you mow it down. I'm not going to type like, hey, we want to kind of consider positioning, right? Like that's all tanks, like that's what tanks do, is route and position. I'm like, hey, like maybe we should kill this stuff like towards the front, because Pride's coming. No one wants to hear that. No one's going to read it. They can like just go. They just kill it. So the route that you saw partially executed here basically is like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, everyone just run down here, just kill everything, cool. And then they're like, oh yeah, isn't Pride coming? Oh, we're all like right on the boss, like whoops, that's pretty much pug. And so my route protects against that. They're like, they come down here, they kill everything, and the boss pops up, but there's no Pride. They're like, where's our Pride? And I'm like, okay, let's kill this one slime. I get to kill it in a very controlled place, like almost impossible for them to pull the boss with it, to mess it up. There's a little bit of time lost to run back, but you know what loses more time? Wiping when Pride spawns in a bad place and you pull the boss too, okay? And so down here, huge danger of spawning Pride in a place that makes it hard to not pull the boss in its sketch. And there's shades, and in like, you know, a just kill it kind of pug, which is most pugs, this is my protection. This is my 1%. I leave literally 1% for one slime, and it's to protect against people that just kind of like run around crazy. However, I do relay that to them here. We make modifications for time, right? We have plenty of time, actually. I think someone dies. And we make those modifications for time's sake, and we do just fine with it. Make up a bit of time quite confidently. However, you could not wipe this. We would die. That would not time it. So that is Plaguefall 10. Those are my very pug defensive routes, right? My 1% routes where I'll leave a little bit. I'm like, I know how pugs want to do this, and this is how I control it. If it's a group that I like, I feel like they know what they're doing. Turns out we can pull the slime beforehand. If I don't trust the group, I'm like, yeah, you guys go nuts killing shit down here. I'm going to go get that slime, and I'll spawn Pride when I want to. That's my Plague 10. This group rocked. Voice comms in a pug. I'm all about it. I like it quite a bit. I'll see you on the next run.